The soft hum of the air conditioner filled the otherwise silent bedroom as I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling. The weight of my actions pressed down on my chest, a suffocating mix of guilt, shame, and confusion. I had always thought of myself as an honest woman, but tonight, the reflection in the mirror revealed a stranger, someone capable of betrayal. It hadn't started this way. Ethan and I had been married for 7 years, our relationship built on trust, shared dreams, and an unshakable bond, or so I thought. But over time, life had crept in with its mundane routines and unspoken frustrations. The spark that once defined our love had dimmed, replaced by a steady, predictable companionship. Ethan, ever the dependable partner, seemed content with our life, while my heart yearned for something more, something undefined. One night, while scrolling through an online forum for relationship advice, I stumbled across a thread about open marriages. The concept intrigued me. Could introducing new experiences reignite the passion in our marriage? Could exploring my desires outside the boundaries of our relationship help me better appreciate Ethan? I brought up the idea to Ethan over dinner one evening. Have you ever thought about maybe opening our marriage? I asked, my voice careful, but laced with nervous anticipation. Ethan's fork paused midair. His brow furrowed as he studied me. What do you mean? You know, like allowing each other some freedom to explore other connections, I said, forcing a casual tone. It's just something I read about. Some couples say it brings them closer. Ethan's expression darkened. Lauren, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm not interested in sharing what we have with anyone else. His words were final, his tone unyielding. I nodded, brushing off the conversation as a fleeting curiosity. But the idea had already taken root in my mind, growing like a forbidden fruit I couldn't resist. A few months later, I met Alex at a work conference. He was charming, confident, and refreshingly different from anyone in my life. Our conversations were electric, filled with laughter and intellectual connection. For the first time in years, I felt seen. One drink turned into 2, then 3, and before I knew it, we were sharing a kiss that ignited a fire within me I thought had long been extinguished. That kiss led to a series of secret meetings and clandestine rendezvous. I justified my actions by convincing myself I was exploring a part of myself that Ethan refused to understand. I told myself it wasn't really cheating, not in my heart. After all, I still loved Ethan deeply. But each time I looked into his trusting eyes, the guilt became harder to ignore. The turning point came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Ethan was in the garage, tinkering with a broken lawnmower, while I sat on the couch scrolling through my phone. A text from Alex popped up. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. I quickly deleted the message, but it was too late. Ethan walked in, a towel slung over his shoulder, and caught the fleeting look of panic on my face. Who was that? He asked, casually, but his eyes narrowed with suspicion. Just a friend, I stammered, avoiding his gaze. Ethan didn't press further, but the atmosphere in the room shifted. The seed of doubt had been planted. That night, unable to bear the weight of my deception any longer, I confessed everything. The conversation was a blur of tears, accusations, and raw pain. You betrayed me, Lauren, Ethan said, his voice breaking. You didn't just cheat on me. You cheated us. Our life. Our trust. I'm so sorry, I sobbed, my hands clasped together as if in prayer. I didn't mean for this to happen. I was trying to find something I felt was missing. But I never stopped loving you. Ethan's face was a mask of anguish. If you loved me, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you fight for us instead of sneaking around behind my back? I had no answer. How could I explain the confusion, the selfishness, the longing I myself didn't fully understand? The days that followed were a haze of tension and heartache. Ethan moved into the guest room, and our interactions were limited to logistical discussions about bills and household chores. I threw myself into therapy, desperate to unravel the tangled web of my emotions and find a way to make amends. But the drama escalated when Alex, unaware of my confession, showed up at our doorstep one evening. Ethan answered the door, his face darkening as Alex introduced himself. "I'm here to see Lauren," Alex said, his confident demeanor faltering under Ethan's icy glare. "She's busy," Ethan said, his tone cold and final. But I had heard the commotion and appeared behind Ethan, my face pale. "Alex, you shouldn't have come here," I said, my voice trembling. "Lauren, we need to talk," Alex insisted. "I can't stop thinking about you. I thought we had something special." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Get out," he said, stepping forward. "Whatever you think you had with my wife is over." Alex hesitated but eventually retreated, leaving me to face Ethan's furious gaze. "You brought him into our lives," Ethan said, his voice low but seething with anger. "You didn't just betray me. You humiliated me." I broke down, my sobs echoing through the house. "I didn't ask him to come here. I'm trying to fix this. Ethan. Please, believe me." Ethan shook his head, the betrayal cutting deeper than he could have imagined. "It's not just about fixing this, Lauren. It's about whether I can ever trust you again." I wrote Ethan a letter, pouring out my soul in words I struggled to say aloud. "Ethan, I don't know where to begin except to say I'm sorry. Sorry for betraying your trust, for hurting you in ways I can't even comprehend, and for losing sight of what truly matters. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, and I took that for granted. I let my insecurities and selfish desires cloud my judgment, and I made choices that I'll regret for the rest of my life. I can't undo what I've done, but I want to do whatever it takes to rebuild what we've lost. I've started seeing a therapist to understand why I made these choices and how I can become a better person, a better partner. I know forgiveness is a long road, and I'm willing to walk it, no matter how hard it gets. I love you, Ethan. And I'm begging you to give us another chance. Not for me, but for the love we've shared and the life we've built together. Forever yours, Lauren." Ethan read the letter in silence, his expression unreadable. Days turned into weeks, and though he remained distant, he didn't file for divorce. Instead, he suggested we attend couples therapy together. The sessions were brutal, peeling back layers of hurt and resentment. Ethan shared how betrayed and emasculated he felt, while I confronted my fears of stagnation and inadequacy. Our therapist guided us through exercises to rebuild trust, encouraging us to communicate openly and honestly. It wasn't an easy journey. There were nights when Ethan couldn't look at me without anger flaring in his eyes, and there were moments when I doubted we could ever recover. But slowly, painfully, we began to find our way back to each other. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Ethan reached for my hand. "I'm not ready to say I forgive you," he said, his voice steady. "But I'm willing to try. Because despite everything, I still love you. And I believe we can rebuild this." Tears welled in my eyes as I squeezed his hand. "I love you, Ethan. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving it to you." Over time, moments of tenderness began to return. Ethan surprised me one night with a candlelit dinner on our back patio. He held my hand across the table, his eyes searching mine. "I see the effort you're making," he said. "And it gives me hope." Our kisses became more frequent, tentative at first, then deep and passionate, as if rediscovering each other anew. We started dancing again in the living room, swaying to our favorite songs like we had in our early days. On our anniversary, Ethan handed me a small box. Inside was a necklace with a single, delicate charm, a phoenix, rising from the ashes. "It's us," he said. "We're not perfect. But we're rebuilding. Together." I wrapped my arms around him, tears streaming down my face. In his embrace, I felt the spark reignite, not the fleeting excitement of something new, but the deep, enduring love of two people who chose to stay and fight for each other.